So please join me in the Guru Pranam mantra and also the Mangala Charan. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Shurato Pangur Mama Manda Matirgati Matsarvasva Padam Bojo Radha Madana Mohano Divyagrindaranya Kalpadrumadaha Srimat Ratnagara Simhasanasto Srimat Radha Srila Govinda Devo Prashtali Vihi Sevyamano Smarami Shriman Rasa Rasarambi Vamsivatastatastitaha Karshan Venur Swaner Gopir Gopinata Shristunaha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Narasimheti Namine Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayatim Girim Yatkripatamaham Vande Sri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanyam Ishwaram Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Nara Narayana Rishis, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadev, the author. Nasta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama sloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes on Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and living service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Nigamakалпатароргалитам phalam shukamkaramritadravya samyutam pibata bhagavatam rasam malayam muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavakaha Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Let me therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto the Lord, who has become the son of Vasudev, the pleasure of Devaki, the boy of Nanda, and the other cowherd men of Vrindavan, and the enlivener of the cows and the senses. Nama Pankajanabhaya, Nama Pankajamaline, Nama Pankajanetraya, Namaste Pankajangre. So Hare Krishna everyone, welcome back to our Srimad Bhagavatam session. And we are now, this is session 25. So before we go on to our new chapter, let us quickly recap what we have done previously. So in chapter 7, right, this was the chapter describing how Ashwatthama was being chastised. And so it concludes. So in here, there were several sub-chapters, you can see. It began by Srila Vyasadeva concluding the history of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So he described to the sages of Naimisaranya how the Srimad Bhagavatam was brought about to be spoken, how Vyasadeva got the inspiration, and it was about 3 chapters. We covered that, and here he just completed it. And after concluding the Srimad Bhagavatam's history, the motivation behind the Srimad Bhagavatam, the glory of the Srimad Bhagavatam, so then Suta Goswami begins to answer the other questions of the sages. Because the sages, they wanted to know few other things. One of the primary questions was that they wanted to know about the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So please let us know, tell us about more and more about his pastimes. And they also wanted to know more details about the hearer, the one who heard the Srimad Bhagavatam, the original person who heard, that is Parikshit Maharaj. They wanted to know more about his glories and how he managed to come to the situation where he heard Srimad Bhagavatam. What happened to him that he heard Srimad Bhagavatam in such a situation? How did he meet Sukadev Goswami, the speaker of the Srimad Bhagavatam? So all this they wanted to know. So to answer all their questions, Suta Goswami, he particularly recited one pastime of the Lord, which connects Parikshit Maharaj's birth. So here I'm just recapping. So this is the Suta Goswami telling how Saunaka Rishi was telling Suta Goswami, we never tire of hearing the transcendental pastimes of the personality of Godhead, who is glorified by hymns and prayers. So this was one of the questions they wanted Suta Goswami to respond. And the other part of the question is, it is said that Maharaj Parikshit is a great first-class devotee of the Lord, and that his birth and activities are all wonderful. Please tell us about him. So together, to answer both of these questions together, Suta Goswami began by narrating the story of how Ashwatthama was punished. So in this story, we heard about how the Supreme Lord acted like such a wonderful friend. He assisted Arjuna to chase after Ashwatthama and then managed to catch Ashwatthama. So the story goes like this, how Ashwatthama became a Balahatya. Ashwatthama is known as Drauni. Drauni means the son of Drona. And he became Balahatya. Balahatya means killer of children. So after becoming so he killed the Pandavas' children, the 5 sons of the Pandavas from Draupadi. They were all sleeping at night. He entered the night secretly like an assassin, and he killed them. But he thought he was killing the Pandavas. He didn't realize they were the children. But anyway, he killed them heinously without allowing them to, even wake up. He cut off their heads. So in this way, he committed a very terrible, sinful act. And then he ran away eventually. And later, when Draupadi woke up, they all got up and they saw the terrible situation. Draupadi was completely in agony. And then to pacify her, Arjuna gave his vow. He said, I will go and catch this person and I will kill him. So, and then you can stand on his head and then bathe in his blood. In this way, you'll be pacified. So like that, he immediately armed himself, and together, Achyuta. So for the first time, the Lord is described here in the pastime, and he is known as infallible Achyuta. So even in Bhagavad Gita also, if you see Bhagavad Gita, the first time the Lord is addressed, he is also known as Achyuta. And the time he was addressed, he was driving the chariot of Arjuna. And here also we see the similarity where Krishna is also addressed as Achyuta, driving the chariot of Arjuna again. So it's very beautiful. Achyuta means infallible, cannot be conquered. Nothing can no one can defeat him. He's unconquerable, infallible, cannot fall down, never, So in that way, Achyuta, it means infallible. And amongst all the qualities which Krishna can be known as infallible, he never fails. So in so many qualities Krishna has, in which he never fails, like for example, truthfulness, in terms of power, in terms of beauty, in terms of strength, all these things, he never fails. But he particularly wants to be known most as one who never fails when it's connected to his devotee. That's why, as a charioteer, he wants to be known as Achyuta. So he's trying to give the message that he never fails especially in reciprocating with his pure devotees. So the sweet reciprocation that he has with his pure devotees, how Arjuna is the charioteer, he's the one sitting in the chariot, but Krishna is the one driving. So how wonderful it is that the Supreme Lord has become a servant of his devotee. So in this regard, he is infallible, Achyuta. Especially Krishna wants to be known in this way. He's not interested about his own glories. He wants to be known especially as infallible when in connection with serving his devotees or having a beautiful relationship with his devotees. So it's same in Bhagavatam, same also in Bhagavad Gita. So it's very nice. And this is the type of master, the Supreme Lord, that we are trying to establish a relationship with. And after that, we heard how they were chasing Ashwatthama, and Ashwatthama, out of fear, he decided to invoke the Brahmastra, and he released the Brahmastra, but he didn't know how to control the Brahmastra. He didn't know how to retract the Brahmastra. He only knew how to release it. So when Arjuna saw the Brahmastra, he didn't know what was happening, because usually people control the Brahmastra to only harm the target only. But an uncontrolled Brahmastra approaches the world like as if it's going to destroy the world. So Arjuna has never seen, nobody has ever done such an irresponsible act before, releasing an uncontrolled Brahmastra. So the Brahmastra weapon is such that it can be used to kill a small ant, right? Nothing can stop it. It can kill one single person, nothing can stop it, or it can kill the entire universe. So it depends on how it's controlled, using subtle mantra signs, right? Using subtle elements. So nobody has seen such an irresponsible act of throwing an uncontrolled Brahmastra. So when Arjuna saw it, he didn't recognize what it was. He only saw glaring effulgence, terrible burning effulgence, and he was afraid. He immediately looked at, and we can see what happens when devotees are afraid. When demons are afraid, they release Brahmastra to destroy the world. This is what they do. In fear and in confusion, this is what Ashwatthama did. He tried to destroy the world. Whereas in devotees, in fear and confusion, they take shelter of the Lord. It's natural, it's automatic. So you can see how Arjuna immediately offered prayers to the Lord. He took shelter. Arjuna's prarthana. Prarthana means prayers. Immediately he offered prayers to the Lord. And that famous prayer, Krishna Krishna Mahabaho Bhaktanam Abhayankara Tvam Eko Dayamananam Apavargosi Samsrate. So you are the one who can remove the fear of all devotees. Arjuna prays to Krishna. So please remove my fear in this way. So after offering the prayers, and then he asks Krishna, please tell me what is happening. And then Krishna immediately gives the answer. He tells Arjuna, it's the Brahmastra which is coming, released, an uncontrolled Brahmastra released by Drona's son. And he also tells the solution, what to do. So Arjuna, you release your own Brahmastra, and only another Brahmastra can counter another Brahmastra. Otherwise, it cannot be countered. So you release your own Brahmastra, and both, when they join together, they will merge in as one glaring effulgence. So then, because they have joined already together, when you call back your Brahmastra, because you know how to call back your Brahmastra, the other Brahmastra being merged with your Brahmastra will also retract together with yours. So in this way, you can serve the world. So he gives a solution, and Arjuna immediately he circumambulates. Before he does anything, a pure devotee, a devotee always takes blessings of the Lord, always circumambulate the Lord. So Arjuna immediately circumambulated the Lord, taking Krishna's blessings, and he released his Brahmastra. So Arjuna neutralizes Ashwatthama's Brahmastra. And after that, when the Brahmastra is overcome, Ashwatthama couldn't resist Arjuna's weapons. Arjuna immediately, but what happened is, instead of killing him, Arjuna captured Ashwatthama. Ashwatthama was bound in ropes and he was captured. So then we heard how Krishna tested Arjuna. He wanted to test what kind of person Arjuna is. So he gave all the reasons. You should kill this person. You have every reason to kill such a person. There is nothing to stop you from killing. But still, Arjuna's compassion and his saintly qualities, for his own personal reasons, he is unwilling to commit, he's unwilling to kill. But for Krishna's pleasure, he fought the Mahabharata and killed so many thousands and hundreds and thousands of people. But that's for Krishna's pleasure. So even in Bhagavad Gita also, he was unwilling to kill until Krishna ordered him to fight. So here also, although so many atrocities have been committed upon his family and his wife, so many things have happened. That his own children were killed. But though his heart was bleeding and painful, nevertheless, for his own satisfaction, he was unwilling to punish or kill other people. So this was saintly quality. So Krishna wanted to show this saintly quality to the world. See what my pure devotees do. Even in such situations, even when they have the right, see how they are, what kind of heart they have. So Krishna tested Arjuna, and Arjuna was shown to be a Mahant. A Mahant means great soul with great qualities. So anyway, he passed the test. He brought Ashwatthama bound in ropes to meet Draupadi. And Draupadi after that showed her great qualities. More than even Arjuna. Imagine Draupadi's feelings, a mother's feelings. The person who killed the mother's child, she would be suffering the greatest. And then she showed her beautiful qualities. So her qualities are called Swama Swabhava, beautiful qualities. So it's particularly beautiful female qualities. It's her nature. It's not actually it's not justice. It's more about showing her saintly qualities. So she also immediately didn't want to kill. She didn't want. When she saw only Ashwatthama bound in ropes in such a pathetic situation, she immediately said, "Release him! Release him!" Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why have you caught a Brahmana in such a situation? And he is the son of our Guru. And then she gives many reasons. She gives reasons that he's a Brahmana, he's the son of the Guru who taught you the weapons. With the very same weapons that you learned from his father only, you have caught him. And then she tells him, do not do anything to him. I have lost my sons. But his mother shouldn't cry just like me. Just see the beautiful nature of Draupadi. It's not like she was revengeful and things like that. She was simply thinking, she was showing empathy. I don't want another lady to suffer like me, right? I have lost my sons and I know the pain, how much pain it is. Why should I want to give the same pain to Kripi? Kripi is the mother of Ashwatthama. And how, even though Ashwatthama was the one who killed her sons, but still, his mother should not suffer like how I'm suffering. So in this way, she entreated Arjuna not to do anything. And also she was also addressing Yudhishthira. Yudhishthira is the king. Actually, Arjuna, he brought the criminal for justice to be faced to the king. The king was Yudhishthira. So Yudhishthira was there to give the rightful justice to this person. So in this way, Draupadi was pleading to Yudhishthira also. If you kill this person, he's a Brahmana. Brahmana cannot be killed. And on top of that, he is Guru, son of our Brahmana, son of our Guru. So just like son of our Guru, he is also like Guru. So in this way, if you kill him, then the anger of the Brahmana community will rise and it will burn all of us. So that's the culture. The culture is Kshatriyas always act in obedience of Brahmanas. Brahmanas are the leaders of society. They are visionary. They know what, they exactly know how to guide society towards the supreme truth. So they are like the heads and the Kshatriyas are like the hands. They are the ones who protect the Brahmanas, protect Dharma, protect society, and they administer society according to the vision of the Brahmana. The Brahmana doesn't do administration. He only gives vision. He gives counsel. It's the Kshatriyas who take care of the administrative affair. But always the Kshatriyas will be deferring to the Brahmana, always in respect of the Brahmana. So therefore he says the anger of the Brahmanas will rise, and this anger of the Brahmana is so powerful, it can destroy the entire Kshatriya dynasty. Remember Parashuram, how Parashuram killed all the Kshatriyas who became demonic. Okay, so in this way, beautiful nature of Draupadi was noted here. And then Yudhishthira also agreed with Draupadi's arguments. He was also shown. So though he was king and he was responsible for justice, but he knew that Ashwatthama only did this to his own family because he had a vendetta towards him. So, and it was a personal affair. It was not something involving the kingdom. So for their own personal reasons, Yudhishthira showed how he was unwilling to punish a criminal. Never mind if other people do this to me, but if they did something to my kingdom, then I would punish them. So that was the thinking of Yudhishthira Maharaj, the king. So he also agreed with Draupadi, and they decided not to punish Ashwatthama. But Bhima was there, and he was upset. He said, how he did such terrible things. How can we let him go? Right? And Krishna also agreed. Yes, Krishna, Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Even though the devotees are ready to forgive, the devotees are always ready to forgive any harm which was done to them. Just like how Pandavas are ready to forgive. Draupadi was ready to forgive. Yudhishthira was ready to forgive. Arjuna was ready to forgive. But Krishna never forgives the person who causes harm to his devotees. So that's why Krishna is like, we discussed this before also. So Krishna doesn't forgive. So therefore, this is Vaishnava Aparad. Ashwatthama committed Vaishnava Aparad. So Krishna never forgives the Aparadi of a Vaishnava. So he said, no, you have to satisfy Bhima. So Bhima was projecting the mood, that particular mood of Krishna. And he told Arjuna, look, you must satisfy Bhima, your elder brother, and you must satisfy me. So then he gave a hint of what to do. So in this way, Krishna showed 4 arms, and he stopped Bhima. He also stopped Arjuna, and he gives a hint to Arjuna what to do. So he told Arjuna, he is a Brahmana. He cannot be killed. But at the same time, right, he needs to be killed because he did not act like a Brahmana. He committed activities very different from a Brahmana. He was extremely sinful. So therefore, I leave the solution to you. So the hint was given. Arjuna immediately caught the hint. He knew what to do because previously the same situation he was put in also before. We discussed it previously. And so Arjuna knew what to do. So immediately he caught the hint, and he, this Ashwatthama, he was behaving like a Kshatriya. Actually, he was behaving less than a Kshatriya. The moment he killed children and the moment he killed people in the dark without offering them a fair fight, and the moment he released his Brahmashtra, all these were sinful activities already, no longer behaving like a Kshatriya. But still, his mood was that of a Kshatriya. And for a Kshatriya, if you insult him, then it's as good as killing him. So therefore, what he did, he cut off his hair and he cut off the jewel in his head. He had a jewel in the middle of his forehead, and that jewel removed much of his power. And the cutting the hair insulted him to the core. So that was like killing him. And then he was banished without anything. So that was what Arjuna did, and in this way satisfied Bhima and Krishna. Right? So that was what was covered in the previous chapter. So why was all this happening? So what does it have to do with Parikshit Maharaj? So this is creating the backstory for the next chapter, which we are going to cover today. And in this chapter, we will hear about how this Ashwatthama connects to Parikshit Maharaj. Okay, so this is chapter 8. So in chapter 8, it is entitled Prayers by Queen Kunti. So that one will come later. Today we won't cover the prayers of Queen Kunti. Today we will cover the part where Parikshit is saved. Right. So this is in this chapter. We hope to cover it in three sessions. So this is part 1. Right. So it begins. The chapter begins with Suta Goswami continuing the story to the stages of Naimisaranya. So he tells Suta Uvacha, thereafter, after all this happened with Ashwatthama and all that, thereafter the Pandavas, what happened to the Pandavas? They were all very sad. So many people have died in the Mahabharata war. Just finished only the Mahabharata war. Not even have time to bury the people who died. And immediately this Ashwatthama did this kind of behavior. And then now that all the threats are completed, so it's time to deliver water to the dead relatives who had desired it. So this is the Antyeshti Samskara. Antyeshti Samskara is the funeral rites. So they need to offer water, Ganga water. So this is still done even now. People offer a pot, when funeral, they carry a pot of water. It's supposed to be Ganga water, and they offer it to the departed soul. So all of them together walked in procession, carrying all the dead, all the paraphernalia. They went to the Ganga with Draupadi and all the ladies, all the striya. So the word striya, all the chaste ladies walked in front with Draupadi leading. So usually in a funeral procession, the ladies are expected to walk in front, followed by the men. So this is the culture, Vedic culture. Going to the holy river, Ganga. So having lamented over them and sufficiently offered Ganga water, Ganga Jal, then after the funeral is completed, what they do? We all bathe, isn't it? So they bathed in the Ganga, whose water is sanctified due to being mixed with the dust of Hari Padabja. So Ganga is being glorified over here. Ganga is very special. It represents all of the holy tirthas, all the holy places in the world is together represented by the Ganga. In other verses, in the Vaishnava Tantra, it's described like that. So this Ganga is so glorified because it is sanctified due to having mixed with the dust of the lotus feet of Hari. Hari Pada. Pada means the feet, Abja, lotus. The lotus feet of Hari. So a bit of backstory here, how Ganga became known as Hari Padabja. So we know how the story, it starts with the story of Bali Maharaj, Vamana Dev and Bali Maharaj. So, the sacrifice of Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj was performing sacrifices. Of course, he was a great demon. He was leading the demons, but nevertheless, he was a great devotee. But because he was leading the demons, he had to do his duty. So therefore, he was conquering the heavenly planets. He was very, very worshipful of his guru, Sukracharya. So in this way, he got great, because of his great worship of the guru, and because of his great devotion, he became very powerful. Indra couldn't check him. And he already conquered the 3 worlds. the upper planetary system, the middle planetary systems, and the lower planetary systems. Bhu, Bhuvar, and Swarga. All three systems he had conquered. And he was performing a great sacrifice. And in that sacrifice, Brahmanas were all invited. And because of the prayer of his devotees, Indra was in a very bad situation. So he prayed and everything. So therefore, Aditi had another child. Aditi had another child, and that child was Vamana. So that's Krishna. That's Indra's brother. Vamana became Indra's brother. So but Vamana Dev, he was very, very, very beautiful, and Brihaspati did the Upanayana, putting the Brahmana thread on him. So in this way, he was glorified. So then Vamana Dev went to the sacrificial area of Bali Maharaj, and over there we know how Bali Maharaj was so-called cheated by Vamana Dev. So he asked for charity, and he asked for 3 steps of land sufficient of 3 steps. That means he takes 1 step, another step, and that much land only he wants. That's what his charity is. And Vamana Dev was a short Brahmana, a dwarf, a short Brahmana. So how much his feet are also small. So Bali Maharaj will say, please ask for more charity. That is so little what you're asking. And then there was a great conversation between Vamana Dev and Bali Maharaj. Vamana Dev will start telling Bali Maharaj an entire lecture about the importance of not asking too much charity. One should only ask just what is sufficient only. So in this way, and then Bali Maharaj was satisfied, and he said, ask what you want. And 3 steps of land, but Sukracharya knew. By his mystic power, he could understand that this is not an ordinary Brahmana. This is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he has a trick behind it. And he could know that great danger is now approaching his disciple, Bali Maharaj. So immediately he warned Bali Maharaj, do not keep your word to this Brahmana. So his guru was giving him an instruction which was completely not Vedic. To not keep his word to a Brahmana, one should always keep one's word. And on top of that, one should not break his word, particularly to a Brahmana, and particularly in a charity, in a yajna. So he was telling him very bad instruction. And on top of that, you should not give charity to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Personality of Godhead himself is coming, so you should not give what you have to him. So that was complete bad instruction from a guru. So therefore, Bali Maharaj thought, if he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then I should give everything to him. Why are you giving me wrong instructions? So therefore, he rejected his guru and therefore completely allowed Vamana Dev to take over everything. So with 1 step, so here we have a picture. With 1 step, this Vamana Dev is a picture. With 1 step, he covered the upper planetary systems. And then with the 2nd step, he covered all the lower planetary systems, including the middle. And then with the 3rd step, he asked, where shall I put my 3rd step? And Bali Maharaj said, you can put it on my head. So he surrendered himself. So Bali Maharaj is glorified in this way. But how did Ganga come in the picture? Ganga came in the picture when Vamana Dev stretched his feet to cover the upper planetary systems. His feet went all the way up to Brahmaloka. So when it went all the way to Brahmaloka, Brahma saw the lotus feet of Krishna of Vishnu, of Vamana Dev coming over there. Immediately he offered Abhishek to the lotus feet of Vamana Dev. So Brahma took his Kamandulu and washed the lotus feet of the Lord, right? And at the same time, the toe of Vamana Dev poked into the outer covering of the universe. You know, the universe has a covering like an egg. So the outer covering of the universe was poked with his toe. And when he poked with the toe, the Garbhodaka ocean, which is outside the universe, it trickled into the universe through the hole poked by the toe of Vamana Dev. So this water from the Garbhodaka ocean, it came And together with that, it mixed with the water washed by the Kamandulu of Brahma. So in this way, both these water combined, and that is the water which is known as Ganga. And when Ganga water poured in such, coming all the way from the top of the universe, you can imagine the amount of pressure and power the water will have as it hits the earth. So that water will be, that pressure and power will be so strong, the impact of the water hitting the earth will be so strong that the earth will be destroyed. So therefore, immediately Lord Shiva came and he took the impact of the water on his head. So you can see here Lord Shiva. So taking the impact of the water on his head. That's why Ganga is always on his head, in his matted locks, always there, kept in his head. So from there, Lord Shiva took the main brunt of the impact, and then from there it broke into several streams, which were of a smaller impact. So then the earth could bear. So that's how Ganga, known as one who has washed the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So very nice. So the name of Ganga is Vishnu Padabja. So this Ganga Devi, she rides on a crocodile. So continuing with our narration, so Sutta Goswami continues narrating to the sages. So there sat Kurupatim. So in that area where they were bathing in the Ganga, right? There sat Kurupatim. Kurupatim is the king of the Kurus. So who's the king of the Kurus now? Now that the Pandavas have won, the king of the Kuru is Yudhishthira Maharaj. So there sat Yudhishthira Maharaj along with his younger brothers, all the Pandavas, and Dhritarashtra, because Dhritarashtra also came. He was still alive. He already knew the outcome. Sanjaya already told him all the story of the Mahabharata. So immediately he rushed towards the Kurukshetra area just to perform final death sacrifice. Death samskaras, Antyeshti. So Dhritarashtra was there. Together with him, his wife Gandhari was also there. So Kunti Maharani was there. Draupadi was there. So you can just imagine the scene. Everybody was sad. All were overwhelmed with grief. Soka Artam. Overwhelmed with grief. So, because everybody was family. This is all a great family, isn't it? All were cousins, interrelated in some way. So, they were all crying and they were all, coming and trying to perform the final sacrifices. So Yudhishthira, Yudhishthira Maharaj and the 5 Pandavas, and this was Gandhari lamenting over her dead children. All her 100 sons were killed. Imagine the pain of the mother who all her sons, actually not all her sons, there is one son who was not killed, Yuyutsu. Yuyutsu wasn't killed because he went into the Pandava side. He joined the Pandava side. Vikarna was killed. So anyway, so this happened. So this is Gandhari's lamenting over it. At the same time, not only all of them were there, Madhava was also there. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Madhava, and the word Madhava was used. So even though there was Soka Artham, at the same time there was Madhava. So there was actually no loss because the husband of the goddess of fortune is there. So the Soka is only material. There cannot be any lamentation when there is the husband of the goddess of fortune. So he was also there, Madhava. And citing the stringent laws of the Almighty and their reactions upon living beings. So because everybody was very sad and lamenting, so Krishna being there, what he did, of course, Krishna doesn't lament. So what he did, he went and pacified all the people who were lamenting. How he pacified? Citing the stringent laws of Almighty, Kala. So he was basically talking about the inevitable effect of time, providence, fate. How providence and time works inevitably upon all living entities in this world. According to karma, according to, Kala is the time. So therefore, these things are to be tolerated. Matras parsastu kaunteya sitoshana sukha dukkada. So giving this kind of philosophy about the inevitable nature of time, about the temporary nature of the living entities, how the living entity is actually the soul. So he gave Atma Tattva again, just like how he gave Atma Tattva to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. How the soul, these people are not actually killed. Though they are killed, the soul lives on, and all of them are now in heaven because they all died as Kshatriyas fighting. And not only that, they died in Kurukshetra. And because of this Kurukshetra's benefit, they are all enjoying wonderfully in heaven. All of them have died. So in this way, Madhava and the Munis began to pacify those who were shocked and affected. So Madhava was there, and the Munis were also there. So there were many sages there, Vashishta, Narada. So all of them were also there. And the Guru of the Pandavas, Daumya Rishi, all of them were there. So they went to each and every one of them, and they gave lectures like this to help them to. So it's Atma Tattva, spiritual knowledge helps to pacify people who are in grief. So this clearance is nicely done, and the bewildered heart is pacified. And then Suta Goswami continues the narration. So he says he's now reflecting on what all has happened. So Suta Goswami says, the clever Duryodhana and his party cunningly usurped the Rajyam of Ajata Shatru. So he's saying all this happened because Duryodhana, together with his supporters, they took over the kingdom. They stole the kingdom of the Rajyam of Yudhishthira Maharaj. The rightful king was Yudhishthira Maharaj. Yudhishthira Maharaj's name is Ajata Shatru. Ajata Shatru means Shatru means enemy, and Aja means birth. So Ajata, that means the enemy of this person never took birth. So that is the name of Yudhishthira Maharaj. That means Yudhishthira Maharaj is so saintly that he never saw anybody as his enemy. That was Yudhishthira's nature. That's why even in the gambling arena, when Draupadi was being dragged, he never saw all these people as his enemy, even in that situation. Because he was always seeing everything as the hand of Krishna, the hand of Lord happening. So that is the nature of Yudhishthira Maharaj. To such a person who never saw anyone as an enemy, to such a person, this crooked Duryodhana went and had a fight. But Yudhishthira Maharaj was willing to give. He was not willing to fight. He was willing to surrender. Okay, never mind. You want to take the kingdom, you take. But at least because I am Kshatriya, I need to carry out my dharma. At least give me village, 5 villages, so that I can do my duty. That's my religious duty. But even that also, Pandava, this crooked Duryodhana didn't want to allow. He wanted to fight no matter what. So he cornered the Pandavas in such a way that there was no choice. So for their own sake, the Pandavas never wanted to fight. It was not that they fought because they wanted the kingdom. They fought because they were pushed to a corner where they couldn't even execute their own dharma. So that was the reason they had to fight the war. So many attempts were taken. Even Krishna came to ask for peace. But Duryodhana was determined to fight, and so was Dhritarashtra, because he was manipulated by his son due to his affection. So then Suta Goswami continues. In this way, Duryodhana took away the kingdom of Yudhishthira Maharaj, but by the grace of the Lord, the recovery was executed. So the great Mahabharata war was carried out, and by the guidance of the Lord, they recovered the kingdom. And the unscrupulous kings who joined with Duryodhana were all killed by him. So this was the plan of the Lord. The plan of the Lord was that he wanted to kill him. Whenever the Lord does something, there are multiple objectives that get satisfied at the same time. The saying, hitting one bird with hitting two birds with one stone. That saying. So here, multiple objectives, not just two, many objectives were all settled just by one action. By this Mahabharata war, he satisfied the prayer of Bhuma Devi, because Bhuma Devi was burdened by so many demoniac kings who were not really very righteous. So even in the Pandava side also, there were kings who were not very righteous, like Drupada Maharaj. Drupada Maharaj did not keep his promise to Dronacharya. He promised to Dronacharya that I will give whatever you ask, I will give you, you're my friend. But when Dronacharya went and asked for something because he had nothing to give his son, that time Drupada insulted Dronacharya and he did not keep his word to a Brahmana. So that was the beginning of the end of the Kuru dynasty. So the seeds which were planted to destroy the Kuru dynasty. So in this way, Drona came and took up service. A Brahmana is not supposed to take up service, but Dronacharya took up service. Two reasons: because he was very affectionate to his son. He couldn't bear his son having no food. Brahmana is supposed to be renounced. So he made a mistake there. He went against Dharma and he took up service. Second mistake, went against Dharma. And third mistake, because of his affection was so strong, right? He went and fought with the Kauravas because he was dependent on them. So Brahmana not supposed to be dependent on people. He was supposed to be independent. So all this happened. So much of Dharma was broken. So Drupada had to be killed also. All the kings from every side had to be killed. In the end, out of the millions of people who fought the war of Mahabharata, only 12 people survived Mahabharata war, right? The 5 Pandavas, Ashwatthama, Kritavarma, Satyaki, and who else? Kripacharya, and one more person, I forgot. So like that. So all the unscrupulous were killed, all unscrupulous kings were killed, and the unscrupulous kings who joined with Duryodhana were killed by him. Oh, this is a repeat. I forgot to cut this off. Others also died. Ayusha, all those who were involved in the gambling arena. What happened in the gambling arena? The main cause of the Mahabharata war, the final stick which broke the camel's back. At that point, Krishna decided that everybody is going to die. This is the reason I'm waiting for everybody to die. The final main reason. That reason was when Draupadi was dragged into the arena in her single suit, single sari, because she was having her menses at that time. She was having a period and she was supposed to avoid association with people. But she was dragged into the assembly in that condition with her hair untied, dragged by the hair. The moment this Dushashan touched the hair of Draupadi, a chaste lady, the embodiment of chaste lady. So at that time, Krishna decided, finish. They are all going to die. So that's why Bhishma also had to die, because he kept silent during that situation. And that's why Vidura left, right? So he didn't die. And that's why Dronacharya also had to die, because he also kept silent in that situation. So all their lives, Ayus means their lives. Others also died, their lifespan having decreased for their rough handling of the hair of Queen Draupadi. So Prabhupada says, to insult a chaste woman means to bring about disaster in the duration of life. So this is warning for everybody. So do not insult a chaste woman, because that means you cut down your ayush, your lifespan cuts down. But not only women to be not insulted. The Vedas say that there are 5 people who one should always protect. Everyone should always protect 5 people. One of them is Stree. Stree is the chaste woman. Chaste woman, mind you, not just any woman, the one who is chaste. The chaste woman should always be protected. The cows should always be protected, right? And the children should always be protected. The brahmanas always should be protected. And old men should always be protected. So these are the 5 people, the 5 types of community who need to be protected always in the Varnashram Dharma. And anyone who fails to protect or insults or causes harm to these 5, their lifespan will reduce. So that is the injunction of Shastra. They invite upon themselves extreme misfortune and disaster, and their lifespan reduces. So why Brahmanas need to be protected? Because Brahmanas are the vision of society. Without Brahmanas, society will not know what to do. They will not know what is right, what is wrong, what to do and what not to do, how to guide in the right direction towards spiritual upliftment. So that is the very important function of Brahmanas. They act like the head to give vision and sight and hearing for the society. And why cows are to be protected? Because cows are the symbol of prosperity. It is Bhuma Devi herself, right? She represents the earth, the cow. And she is also very dear to the Supreme Lord. And if one doesn't protect the cow, they are inviting disaster for humanity. Of course, the cow also is like a mother, one of the 7 mothers, and the cow also produces milk. So, and protecting the cow means protecting milk, protecting ghee, and all these things. So, consumption of all, Prabhupada will say in his purport, milk is very important for maintaining the finer tissues of the brain. So, by drinking, by eating foodstuffs in the mode of goodness, particularly milk and ghee, butter, these kind of things, it produces the necessary intelligence which is needed to understand spiritual topics. So spiritual topics are not easy to understand. Not everybody can understand. It needs mercy. It also needs purification. So drinking milk helps to at least develop the right kind of finer intelligence which is needed. So in this way, and children, of course, because they are the future generation. So they are completely to be protected. And old men, they should also be protected because in their old age, they should not be left to fend for their own survival. Somebody should maintain them. They don't have the ability to maintain themselves anymore. And by maintaining them, one helps them because they are then free to dedicate their life fully towards self-realization. So in this way, old men should be protected. Of course, old women also, already chaste women are protected, so it's the same thing. So Lord Sri Krishna, after that, caused 3 well-performed Ashwamedha Yagyas to be conducted by Maharaj Yudhishthira. So after the funeral was over, eventually when they were all established, King Yudhishthira Maharaj was established as king over the entire world, and the kingdom was again reinstated. So then, to bless and purify the reign of King Yudhishthira, so Krishna requested Yudhishthira Maharaj to carry out Ashwamedha Yagya. So we know Ashwamedha Yagya is the horse sacrifice, the great horse sacrifice, extremely difficult sacrifice to perform, involving lots of wealth, and not only one sacrifice, 3 sacrifices. So it's great punya by performing such sacrifice. Guaranteed, one perform even one Ashwamedha sacrifice, you will get extreme great punya. Now Indra performed hundreds, before Indra became Indra, in his previous life, he performed 100 sacrifices, 100 yagya, Ashwamedha yagya. So the result of that is that he attained the position of Indra. So therefore, Indra is always afraid of anybody who performs Ashwamedha yagya. He's always counting how many sacrifices you're doing, because otherwise they can take over his position. But Krishna instructed Yudhishthira Maharaj perform 3, right? So this is sufficient. Simply by the instruction of Krishna, even 3 sacrifices are sufficient. And in this way, his kingdom's reign was very, very glorious. So therefore, the fame of Yudhishthira Maharaj spread in all direction. So it spread like the fame of Indra. It spread in all direction. Yudhishthira Maharaj became known all over the universe. And because he was a pure devotee of the Lord, because he satisfied Krishna's instructions. And thus caused his virtuous fame to be glorified in all directions, like that of Indra, who had performed 100 such sacrifices. So Indra had to perform 100 sacrifices for his fame and glory to be great. Whereas Yudhishthira Maharaj, because he was a pure devotee of Krishna, simply by executing 3 sacrifices was sufficient to attain the same kind of position Indra had, and even exceed Indra's glory and fame. So the Lord, Prabhupada says here, the Lord is equal to everyone, but the Lord always has a special spot for his pure devotees. So, but a devotee of the Lord is more glorified because he is always in touch with the All Great. So this is the nature of the Bhakta Vatsala Krishna. He is always partial to his devotees, although he is equal to everyone. Just like the sun is always equal to everyone. You cannot say the sun is partial. It shines in the house of a murderer as well as the house of a saintly person. Equally, it shines everywhere. But in some places, it may be such that the sun is blocked from shining inside. Like, they may have a screen, they may have a wall, they may have a closed door, they may have everything closed with curtains. So inside it's dark, even though the sun is shining outside. So this is not the fault of the sun. Sun is equal. It is the building which has decided to block out the sun. So in the same way, there are people the Lord gives his mercy equally to everyone, but not everyone is willing to take the mercy of the Lord. The pure devotees are always eager. When the prasadam of the Lord comes, very eager. When the charanamrita of the Lord comes, always very eager. First thing to drink is the charanamrita of the Lord before they eat the food, right? That is the most important. When the holy names of the Lord is spoken, always very eager to repeat it. When the glories and the pastimes of the Lord are spoken, always very eager to hear. So in this way, the pure devotees are eager to receive the blessings, whereas the atheists or the non-devotees are not eager to receive the blessings, even though the Lord gives them freely to everybody. Right? So then Lord Sri Krishna prepared for his departure. He invited Panduputram. So Krishna, having done his pastime here, he wanted to now leave Hastinapur and go back to Dwaraka. So he was ready to leave. So at that time, he invited Pandavas, Panduputran, right? And after having been worshipped by the Viprai means Brahmanas, the intelligent Brahmanas who are learned in the Vedas. So they are called Vipra, headed by Srila Vyasadeva himself. So Krishna says, right, amongst all the sages, amongst all the, I think all the sages among humankind, I am Vyasadeva. So in this way, after having been worshipped by all the Brahmanas, after having been worshipped by the Pandavas, Krishna was about to depart to Dwaraka. So just when he was about to depart from Dwaraka, but before that, the Lord also reciprocated with all the greetings, all the prati pujita. So pujas were being given to Krishna, and Krishna also reciprocated with all the puja. It was a very beautiful, friendly relationship that Krishna had with all the family members of the Pandavas. It was not just one way. Krishna was also reciprocating very beautifully with them. Right? So we see the Lord in his Vishnu form, he receives puja, but he doesn't reciprocate. He just receives them as, in a very awe and reverent mood, Aishwarya Bhava. He just receives. But in this mood of Krishna, he reciprocates even more closer with his pure devotees. So Prabhupada is saying the Lord never deviated from the customary usages between the four orders of society. The Lord purposefully observed all these social customs so that others would follow him in the future. So there were many sangyams, there were many upacharas to be performed based on the Vedas. So the Lord always encourages these Vedic rituals to be carried out, right? And in this way, he encourages the Varna and Ashram, the Varnashrams. So so in the same way, because when a great man does something, others will also follow. So the Lord always sets a good example. Just like how, we see how Krishna is always very dear to the Brahmanas, and the Brahmanas are very dear to Krishna. So here in this picture, we see how Krishna is directly washing the feet of Sudama. This is Sudama when he came to visit Krishna. Just because he was a Brahmana and Krishna was a Kshatriya, so even though Krishna is God, but he was behaving like a Kshatriya, an ideal Kshatriya. An ideal Kshatriya will always worship the Brahmana, and in this way, Krishna is showing the example, setting the example for all saintly kings to follow the same. So this is the beautiful nature of the Supreme Lord. He always sets a good example. And he reciprocates very beautifully with his pure devotees. So as soon as he seated himself on the Ratham, on the chariot, to start for Dwaraka, after reciprocating with all the devotees there, he saw Uttara hurrying towards him in great fear, in Bhaya Vihvalam, being completely afraid. Now, Uttara, if you remember, is the wife of Abhimanyu. Abhimanyu is the son of Arjuna, right? So Abhimanyu's wife is Uttara. And Uttara was also a very great princess. She was the daughter of King Virata. Virata is the kingdom where the Pandavas went and hid on their last year of exile. They need to be in hiding in the last year. So the kingdom of Virata is where they went. And Arjuna went there as a eunuch. He became a eunuch and he was teaching dance, Bharatanatyam, dance to Uttara, the daughter, the princess of the kingdom. Because he was eunuch, so it was okay. And Uttara was his disciple, not only in Bharatanatyam, but in many ways, in morality and things like that. So in this way, Uttara was a disciple of Arjuna. And later, she married Abhimanyu. So this Uttara, she should have entered the fire, because when Abhimanyu died, usually the wives will enter into the fire burning the body of Abhimanyu. But Uttara did not enter the fire because Uttara was pregnant at that time. So sati is not done by pregnant ladies. So therefore Uttara refrained from entering sati, and she was carrying the child. And so, but here we see how Krishna saw Uttara rushing towards him in fear. So Prabhupada makes an observation here. The Lord protects everyone, but one who depends completely upon him is especially looked after by the Lord. The father is more attentive to the little son who is exclusively dependent on the father. So there's the example given. So the more we surrender, the more the Lord is giving exclusive protection. So Uttara was rushing towards the Lord. There were her husband, the father-in-laws, the great warriors. Pandavas were there, Yudhishthira Maharaj, Arjuna, Bhima, all of them were there. But she rushed towards Krishna completely. She was fearful. Why was she fearful? Right? So she prays, very beautiful prayer here. This is one of the prayers we should memorize also. And we can recite this prayer to the Lord whenever we see the Lord and whenever we are praying. So it's very nice. Pahi pahi mahayogin deva deva jagatpate nanyam tvam abhayam pasye yatra mrityu parasparam. So pahi pahi mahayogi. So she comes, she rushes towards Krishna and falls upon Krishna and says, Pahi, Pahi, protect me, protect me. Pahi, Pahi means protect me, protect me. Maha, protect, protect. Mahayogi, you are the greatest yogi. Mahayogi, O Krishna. Deva, Deva, you are the Lord of all lords. You are the Deva of all the Devas. Lord of all lords, and you are Jagatpate, the Lord of the universe. Right? Nanyam tvad abhayam pasye yatra mrityu parasparam. No one, no one, there is nobody who else who can save me from the clutches of mrityu, death, in this world of duality. So parasparam, duality. So in this, it's a very beautiful verse. We should also pray it like this to Krishna whenever. It's a nice meditation. So Uttara is completely surrendering to the Supreme Lord and asking the Lord to, just like how Arjuna also, when he saw the Brahmastra coming, he also prayed, Krishna, Krishna, Mahabahu, Bhaktanam Abhayankara, please, I surrender to you. Only you can remove the fear of the devotees. So here, Uttara is surrendering. Only you can remove, can save me from death in this world of duality. So even in that situation, she's putting philosophy inside. So this is the caliber of people in those days. Very nice. And then she says, right? She continues, Isha, oh my Lord, you are Vibho, all powerful. A fiery iron arrow is coming towards me fast. So Isha is also known as controller. You are the ultimate controller. Oh my Lord, you are Vibho. You're all powerful. Pahi, Pahi, protect me. A fiery iron arrow is coming towards me very fast. So somehow she got to know this, that some great danger is calamity is coming towards her. My Nata, oh my protector, let it burn me personally, if you so desire. But please do not let it burn and abort my embryo, my child in my womb. So again, the glory of the pure devotees is again shown. How they are very, very wonderful devotees. For their own sake, they are not bothered. So here you can see how she is willing to die. Let it burn me. I've got no issues. But please protect my child. So in this way, she is praying and entreating to the Lord. So Prabhupada gives a purport how Uttara is extremely fortunate. Uttara is, though so materially, in the materialistic view, one may not think like that. One may think, oh, she's a widow. Her husband died. Uttara was very young. Abhimanyu died when he was only 16 years old. And Uttara should also be around that age, 15 or 14, I think probably 14. Right? So very young. She's a young girl. And she's going to, and this is, but even though she's a young girl, she became a widow. And so people may think she's unfortunate, but that's materialistic calculation. Bhagavad Gita, it says, right, for the introspective sage, night is not, he always sees night. What the materialist see as day, the introspective sage sees it as night, and vice versa. So it's always opposite. So in this way, Prabhupada describes how Uttara, though materially it may look that she is unfortunate, but actually she's not. She's the daughter of a great king, daughter of King Virata, married in a great family, right? Wife of Abhimanyu, daughter-in-law of the Pandavas, right? And later she will have the child, a great devotee, Parikshit Maharaj, will become her child. And she was also the disciple of Arjuna, right? And on top of that, she's a pure devotee of Lord Krishna. How we can see she's completely surrendered. So how can she be unfortunate? So then Sutta Goswami continues the narration. Sutta Uvacha, having patiently heard her words, Bhagavan Bhaktavatsala could at once understand. So Krishna patiently heard what she was saying. And of course, here it's mentioned Bhaktavatsala again, how he is always partial to his devotee. So we will see how he is so partial to his devotee very soon. So Krishna could at once understand what's happening. That Draune, that Ashwatthama, who everybody pardoned and left him, right? That Draune, out of extreme terrible feelings, after being insulted in that way, caught, and then he was released like this. Ashwatthama, we all heard the story of Ashwatthama already. So Ashwatthama was not done. He completely became insane. He became mad. So again, he released his Brahmastra. And this Brahmastra was aimed specifically towards the last existing child of the Pandavas. Because all the sons of Pandavas were killed, right? Draupadi had 5 sons. The 5 sons were killed by Ashwatthama. And Arjuna had other children also from his other wives. Bhima also had children with Hidimbi, Katotkacha, but all of them were killed. Katotkacha was killed. Iravan, Arjuna's son with Ulopi, was killed. So all of them were killed. And so no more children, but there is grandchildren. Uttara was still alive, and there was a child. The one single child of the Pandavas was still left inside Uttara's womb. So Krishna wanted the continuation of the Pandavas' lineage, and he wanted to protect her immediately. So Munishrestha, Sutta Goswami is continuing to narrate. So now he's glorifying Saunaka Rishi. So he's saying, Saunaka Rishi, oh chief amongst the Munis. So that's the meaning of Munishrestha. It means chief. Shrestha means chief of the Munis. Seeing the glaring Brahmastra proceeding towards them, the Pandavas took up their 5 respective weapons. So the Pandavas immediately, they saw the Brahmastra approaching. They were about to take their weapons. But much faster than them was the Supreme Lord. Because the Supreme Lord was directly appealed. Uttara didn't go to her husband, to her father-in-laws. Uttara went straight to Krishna. And Krishna was very protective of Uttara and the child. So very beautiful verse. Vyasanam viksha tatesham ananya visayatmananam sudarshanena swastrena shwanam raksham vyadhad vibhu. So the translation is Vibhu. Vibhu is referring to Krishna, the very great personality. Vibhu, having observed that a great danger was befalling his unalloyed devotee, Ananya Vishayatmanam, his unalloyed devotee, who were fully surrendered souls. So then what he did? At once took up his Sudarshana Chakra to protect them. So what he did? He didn't do it outside. Actually, much faster, because Krishna was already in the heart of Uttara as Paramatma. So he was there as Paramatma, and being inside the heart of Uttara, very close to the womb. So from the Paramatma, straight away the Paramatma took his Sudarshan Chakra. The Acharyas explain like that. Prabhupada also mentions like that. And then from there, he released his Sudarshan Chakra to protect. He took it up to protect. Just like how to protect the pure devotees, Krishna is always willing to, he doesn't care. That's why he's known as Achyuta. Anything else he may break. You cannot call him infallible in truthfulness maybe, because Krishna took the vow that he will not fight in the battle of Mahabharata. And just to bring out that beautiful nature of Bhakta Vatsala, Bhishma pushed Arjuna to the very brink, to the very fact that, if Krishna doesn't protect, Arjuna will die. So just to protect his devotee, Krishna was going to break his vow. So he took up a chariot wheel, technically speaking, he didn't break his vow, but people can argue, but still he raised it as a weapon. It's not a weapon. Chakra of a chariot is not a weapon. Chariot wheel is not a weapon, but one can argue anything can be used as a weapon. But Krishna didn't care about that. He wanted to know that even if I'm not morally, you may say I'm not the upright or what, but one thing, in protecting my devotees, I will never fail. So that's Bhakta Vatsala. So you can see how Krishna is willing to throw away his reputation just to protect his devotee. So Bhishma purposely brought this out to glorify Krishna. And in the same way, Krishna is doing the same thing, protecting his devotee. Actually, Brahmastra is very powerful. Brahmastra is given the boon that nothing can, once Brahmastra is released, unless another Brahmastra comes, nothing can protect the target. That is the boon given to the Brahmastra. So let's see how Krishna protects that. Antashta sarva bhutanam atma yogeshvaro harihi swamaya yavrinot garbham vairatyaha kuru tantve. So Yoga Ishvara, Yoga Ishvaro Hari, Yoga Ishvara, the master of all mistakes, the great controller Ishvara, who is the master of all mistakes, resides within everyone's heart as Paramatma. As such, just to protect the progeny of the Kuru dynasty, Hari covered the embryo of Uttara by his personal energy. So directly the Paramatma acted and covered Uttara by his personal energy. Covered the embryo of Uttara. So Swamayaya, his own energy. So being protected by the energy of Vishnu, by the energy of Paramatma. Bhrugu Udvaha. So Bhrugu Udvaha, so again glorifying Saunaka Rishi. Sutta Goswami is addressing Saunaka Rishi as Bhrugu Udvaha. You are from the glorious family of Bhrugu Muni. You are born from the glorious family of Bhrugu Muni. So Bhrugu Udvaha or Saunaka Rishi, although the Ashtram Brahma Shiras, so this is the most powerful version of the Brahmastra. Brahmastra has several versions, and the Brahma Shiras is the most powerful version. Is released by Ashwatthama, was Amogam and Apratikriya. Amogam means without check, nothing can stop this Brahmastra. Amogam. Apratikriya. Apratikriya means cannot be counteracted. But still, because of the Swamayaya of Krishna, by the power of Vishnu, it was neutralized and foiled. And when confronted by Vaishnavam Teja, the Teja of the strength related to Vishnu. So, of course, he's the Supreme Lord, but actually, usually Krishna will not break the boon given to anyone. Just like how Hiranyakashipu, Brahma gave the boon to Hiranyakashipu. Just to protect the word of Brahma, Krishna had to take a very special form, just to keep the word of Brahma in killing Hiranyakashipu. So usually he keeps the word. He tries as much as possible to keep the word, and usually always he does. But here he's particularly showing, but to protect his pure devotee, he's even willing to break that word. Just like he was willing to break his word to protect Arjuna against Bhishma. So here he's willing to break his word for the boon of Brahmastra, because Brahmastra means cannot be checked, cannot be stopped. But still, to protect his pure devotee, he's willing to do it. So that's why he was known as Bhakta Vatsala. So therefore, he neutralized the Brahmastra. Actually, he did keep his word also, because what actually happened, the Brahmastra entered and it burned the fetus. It burned the fetus. It destroyed the body of the fetus. But by the power of Vishnu, he immediately gave, in split second, he gave a new body to the fetus. So in this way, he kept the promise of the Brahmastra, but at the same time, he protected the fetus by giving it a new body, and by the power of Vishnu, he protected the fetus from receiving any pain. So this is what he did. So Prabhupada says, in other words, the glowing effulgence known as Brahma Tejas is nothing but the rays of the Lord, just as the sun rays are the rays of the sun disk. So this Brahma Teja, this Vaishnava Teja, glaring effulgence of the Lord, the power of the Lord, just like Brahman, Brahman is also coming from the Lord. It's also the effulgence of the Lord. Right? So continuing. O Brahmanas, do not think this to be Ascharyam. So one may think, yo, so wonderful. So Saunaka Rishi, Sutta Goswami is telling Saunaka Rishi and all the people, don't think that this is very amazing. O Brahmanas, do not think that this is to be Ascharyam in the activities of the Ascharyamaye Achyute. Oops, sorry. So what happened just now is nothing very, very amazing, because he is Ascharya Maye Achyute. He is infallible, Achyuta, right? And his energies, Maya, his energies are also amazing. So one who possesses amazing energies and he's infallible, right? So therefore, if he's already infallible, why are you going to be amazed? Definitely he will find a way. Definitely he will always protect his devotees. Nothing for you to be amazed about. And his energies are always very great. Nothing for you to be amazed about also. So in this way, he is glorifying the Supreme Lord. By his own Mayaya Devya, his transcendental Maya. So he's talking about internal potency. When we say Maya, we always think of Durga or Mahamaya. But Maya, there is two Maya. The other Maya is Yoga Maya. So in relation with dealing with his devotees, it is always the Yoga Maya which is acting. So here it said Devya. Devya means transcendental. So transcendental Maya, that means particularly referring to Yoga Maya, internal potency, Antaranga Shakti. He creates, maintains, and annihilates all material things. So ultimately, all energy, both the Mahamaya and the Yoga Maya, are both his energy. And as such, ultimately, they are both spiritual, even though Mahamaya is shadow. Although he himself is Aja, so he creates, maintains, and annihilates everything, although he himself is unborn. So everything else gets created, but the Supreme Lord never gets created. He is Ajaha. So the atheists might say, we may argue with the atheists. We can tell the atheists, everything is created by so much of creation is there. There is a creator. But the atheists will say, but who is the creator? Who created the creator? So that argument is countered here. This is what is understood as inconceivable. You cannot understand. It is inconceivable, but we must understand based on the strength of scripture. The Lord is never created. He is unborn, Aja. He is the source of everything. So the materialists cannot understand this. Only the devotees can understand this. Thus saved from Brahma Teja, Prita. So now by the Brahmastra Teja, by the energy of the Brahmastra, Parikshit Maharaj is saved. The baby. So the baby is saved, right? And Uttara is also saved. So then immediately Kunti Devi comes. Kunti Devi has witnessed what has just happened. So Prita means Kunti Devi, the chaste Sati, devotee of the Lord. Sure, here is another great devotee. So the entire Pandavas family is full of great devotees. So Kunti Maharani is known as Sati, the chaste devotee of the Lord. She is always focused on the Supreme Lord. She doesn't deviate her mind on anything else. And we are going to see how great Kunti Maharani is in the next few verses of the Bhagavatam, where she will make her prayer. So, thus saved, Pruta, Kunti Maharani, and Pandavas, the 5 sons of Draupadi, all of them addressed Lord Krishna as he started for home. So, Krishna was now about to leave, having done his work of protection. He is about to leave, go back to Dwaraka. So, overwhelmed by great gratitude, overwhelmed by the affection that the Supreme Lord is always showering upon them, they could not let him go. So they came. So especially Kunti Maharani will lead them with the prayer. So in the next few sessions, we will hear about the prayer of Kunti Maharani. Thus saved from, so Prabhupada gives his purport here, a chaste devotee. So what is chaste devotee? Chaste devotee of the Lord does not look to others, namely any other living being or demigod or method, even for deliverance from danger. They are always reliant only on the Supreme Lord to save them from all danger. So that is what is meant by chaste. Such a chaste devotee also never asks. So here's another important point. Such a chaste devotee also never asks the Lord for help, but the Lord, out of his own accord, is always anxious to render it. So for themselves, they never ask for anything. That is pure devotee, right? Even in danger, they will always think of the Lord, but they will never ask, generally, for themselves. But they are always concerned about others. So they address the Lord in this way. So this, we will stop here today. So I'll just quickly go through what we have covered in this chapter. The Pandavas grieve about all the people who have died. They perform Antyeshti, they go to the Ganga. And then we heard how Krishna establishes Yudhishthira Maharaja's fame by requesting him to carry out the 3 Ashwamedha Yagyas. And then we heard how Krishna prepares to depart. And at that time, Uttara is very scared and she approaches Krishna and she prays, Pahi Pahi Mahayogi Deva Deva Jagatpate Nanyam Tvam. Protect me, O Supreme Lord. And then the Lord's protection is given. We see how the child of Uttara is saved. And finally, we are going to hear Kunti Maharani's prayers, Prarthana. So earlier we heard Arjuna's prayers, then we heard Uttara's prayers, and now we will see Kunti Maharani's prayers. So the entire chapter of Bhagavad, of chapter 8 after this is dedicated to Kunti Maharani's prayers. Very, very important and powerful prayers. We will dedicate 1 or 2 sessions for these prayers alone. All right, so we stop here. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So are there any questions or anything you'd like to clarify? I'm happy to answer.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yes, of course. There's a couple of questions to ask you. You make me confused now.
Okay, yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu, first, Prabhu, we go back to chapter 7. If you don't mind, just give me another 2 minutes now.
Sure,
in chapter 7, he said, the source of Ganga, the source of Ganga, all this while, I thought it was from Vishnu's pada. Can you hear, Prabhu?
Yeah, what were you saying again, Prabhu?
The source of Ganga appear. All this while I thought it was from Vishnu pada.
Yeah, it came from the water itself.
Brahmaloka.
No, it came from the piercing of the Garbhodakashayi ocean. Outside the universe, you know, his feet, when Upendra, when Vamanadev stretched his feet to cover the upper planetary systems, his toe pierced the covering of the universe. So when he pierced the covering of the universe, it made a hole, a small hole. And what's outside the universe is the Garbhodakashaya ocean. Lord Garbhodakashayi Vishnu is lying in that ocean, covered by water. So that water came from the lotus feet of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. And that water entered into the universe. And as it entered into the universe, again it washed the feet of Vamanadev, as his feet is there. It washed his feet and it started to drop from the top of the universe, from Satyaloka, all the way it dropped. So when it dropped, the distance is so great. So as it drops, it picked up so much of speed and momentum that if it hit the earth will shatter. So that's why Lord
Yes.
Shiva came and put his head there, and it hit Lord Shiva's head.
Okay, Prabhu. Now I'm clear about it. Thank you, Prabhu. Because all this while I thought Ganga appeared from Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu's pada.
Yeah, it did appear
Above
from
that,
Lord
I
Vishnu.
didn't know the resource. Okay, my second question, Prabhu. Talking about Asuttama. Asuttama actually is a portion of in Mahabharata Adi Parva, Prabhu. In Mahabharata Adi Parva is written, Asuttama is from Lord Shiva. It's a portion of Lord Shiva. Yama, Kama, and Krodha appear as Asuttama.
Yeah.
Okay, three of them. Now, we know very well this Mahabharata was created with the permission of the Supreme. Okay, and Brahma was the main man, organized the chart.
Organize
the chart. Who is going to be whom, and the characters, everything. Now, Asuttama, with the three characters, he took his part. Now, the whole Mahabharata is finished. I mean, completed. Everybody returned. Like Veerabhimanyu returned, is a Soma-san, blah, 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 all. So Asuttama, why Asuttama alone was retained?
Okay. Right.
I mean, sorry, Prabhu, I don't know whether you know the answer or not, but just my curiosity, I'm asking you, Prabhu.
Yeah, no problem. Right. So Ashwatthama actually, when he was born, he had the jewel in his head. So that jewel gave him many powers. So at the same time, he was also blessed by his, I don't know who blessed him. I think Lord Shiva blessed him. Lord Shiva blessed him as Chiranjeevi. Chiranjeevi means that he doesn't die. He lives for one entire lifetime of Brahma, one kalpa. No, not lifetime. Sorry, 1 day of Brahma. He lives for 1 day of Brahma. So that's Chiranjeevi. So because he's Chiranjeevi, he cannot die. And later also, he will get cursed by Krishna. So Krishna will curse him that you will not die, but because of your Vaishnava aparat, you will contract leprosy. All your wounds will not heal, and you will go on in this way. Nobody will serve you anything. You will go around, wandering the world in this way, and you will go on until the end of the entire Kali Yuga. So by which time you will get sufficiently purified of your sin, and after you become purified, then in the next Satya Yuga which comes, our Ashwatthama is going to take the position of Vyasadeva. The next Vyasadeva in the next cycle of the Yuga which comes after this, Ashwatthama is going to become the Vyasadeva after that. So
wow,
that's
so much information. So much information.
Yeah.
I didn't know, Prabhu. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Any other questions? Anyone?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Sorry, I got a sore throat.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, just now you were telling that Ashwatthama will be.
Sorry, you're muted, Mataji. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, did you get my question, Prabhu?
No, I didn't hear. You muted yourself, I think.
Okay. You were mentioning that Ashwatthama will be there until end of Kali Yuga, and then he will birth in the Satya Yuga. That means Ashwatthama is there in Kali Yuga now, is it?
Yeah, he's there. There are several people there. Hanuman is there. Ashwatthama is there. Jambavan is there. Who else is there? Vyasadeva is also there. Who else? Got a few other people. I can't remember now. So these are all Chiranjeevis. Markandeya Rishi, he is also there. He's another Chiranjeevi. So yeah, all these people are there. They may not necessarily be on the Earth planet. They may be anywhere between the Bhuloka, Jambudvip, within the, there is more than just Earth. The entire dimension of that of Bhuloka. They could be anywhere there, but usually it's described he's somewhere I read somewhere that he was somewhere near the Russian area. Somebody said he's near Russia. I don't know. It's just speculation. But yeah, he's around. He's here. But he cannot be seen because the curse is like that. The curse is that nobody will give him shelter. He'll wander the entire world in this way, everywhere, here and there, and in this way he will clear away his karma for performing such terrible aparad and sin.
Okay. All right, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Hanuman is also there. That's why he also says, Hanuman's promise is wherever the names of Ram is chanted, wherever the Ramayana is being spoken, you can be sure I will be there within that area, always listening. So that is the best way to please Hanuman.
Yeah. Hanuman, we can feel it anyway whenever we sing Rama glories.
Yes.
You can feel there's some kind of movement of air and some kind of movement will be there. You know? That is, I don't know, Aswatthama will be around or not. Just wonder how.
Aswatthama, no, I don't know. But Prabhupada also has mentioned, wherever we chant, there are many situations where, sometimes he's alone and then somebody will ask him, in a conversation, Prabhupada will sometimes say, you didn't see this person, you didn't see that person. But when they turn around, nobody is there. And then sometimes Prabhupada also will say, Narada Muni was here just now. So like that. So all these people are there. So always, even if we don't see anybody, whenever the glories of Krishna are genuinely, sincerely chanted, heard in that congregation, always these personalities are present.
I see. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Anything else from anyone? Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you very much. So otherwise we can end here. All right. So thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.